Thanks to EA for the game code. Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. It's time to build a lodge in Granite Falls, and you might be confused because in my last video I was talking about the Riviera retreat kit, and this is a amazing kit which is perfect to build a beautiful pool, a mansion with a pool, and this was my original plan, and I actually had already started to work on a pool mansion, but then this lodge was calling me. It was calling my name. I just had to build it because in the kit we got so many amazing objects for building a pool, but we also got rocks which have a waterfall feature. And these were inspiring me so much. Like immediately when the kit was announced and when I saw the first pictures, I was like, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. Like, I mean, all the objects are beautiful, but I feel like an item like this always feels extra special because we got so many tables and chairs and pool loungers and stuff in the game, but this is like a very unique item, and I immediately felt inspired, and I then just had to build a lodge because you know how much I love to use the tween tools, and I just love to landscape, and I just wanted to do something big using the rocks, and this is why I've decided to build this wonderful lodge in Granite Falls. I'm also going to finish the pool mansion because this is like really on theme for the kid, and I just love to build beautiful modern mansions, but it's just time for a lodge, and I hope that you are going to enjoy this. I had so much fun building this, and I especially enjoyed using the new rocks. They are wonderful. Sadly, you cannot really size them up because the water animation stays the same size, but they are also matching regular rocks without the water feature, and these can be sized up without any issues. So I've used the terrain tools heavily here. I wanted to have these 3 separate pools, you could say. They are like separate ponds, and then I wanted to just decorate them using all the rocks, of course, the brand new waterfall rocks. And I've also used a waterfall from Island Living, which can be found in debug or live edit, and I've just placed it in the center because I really wanted this to look like some type of waterfall, so it looks really nice. And I worked out the shape of the water area first. This was supposed to be the eye-catching feature, and then I just wanted to add a house in the back which would match the landscaping and everything. And I've made so many changes to this build while I was working on it. At some point you might notice that the landscaping is a bit different, because I was raising the whole terrain a bit because I felt like the whole section, like the whole water area, was sitting too low in relation to the house. It didn't look good and balanced. I just wanted the water and terrain area to be higher, and then I also wanted the house to be higher. So at some point there will be some changes to the water part, but yeah, I really enjoyed working on this. And here I'm starting to work on the house. So I wanted the house to really look awesome. At the same time, I didn't want the house to outshine the whole water feature area. And at the same time, I just didn't want the waterfall area to like be the eye catcher and the house is kind of lost in the background. I wanted everything to match, and I thought that it would make sense to have this section of the house in a like diagonal direction. It just looked nice this way, and I wanted to have a lodge type of style, but I still wanted it to be modern and wonderful. I've used the windows from Growing Together to have this like roof shaped window at the top. I've just placed it, and you can just really place it. You can size it up, and you can place it on a wall so it like really snaps to the wall, and you have it in the right place. And you could size it up. You could press 9 on your keyboard to raise it, and then you can simply delete the wall, and this way the window is still going to like stay in the exact same place. I've deleted some ceilings in some areas because you could like see the roof and then the the ceiling below, it wasn't looking good. So I made some changes to this, and I just generally just expanded the build section by section, which I generally like to do. But here I was really trying to incorporate the house into the whole landscaping. And at first I wanted to have like a section in the back right behind the waterfall. I thought it would be so cool to have a part of the build right behind the waterfall in the back. So this is kind of where the waterfall starts, and I don't know, like building the house above the water, kind of like falling water. We've also built this house on this channel before in the past, a couple of years ago, but then it just didn't look right because the shape didn't make sense, and the house was so gigantic at this point, and not in a good way. You know, I love to create gigantic builds, but it just didn't look right. It looked like a weird extension of the house which didn't really belong. So I've made so many changes to this, but I'm so proud of how it turned out, and I hope that you like it. And the roofing was like especially difficult because in some areas the roof was kind of glitching into the room right next to it, because as I've explained a couple of minutes ago, I was placing the window and then I deleted the walls, but then of course the room is open, and in this case I just like to turn it into like some type of balcony, so it's part of the outdoors, but then the roof is like visible, because when you like drag a roof into a fully closed room, it's disappearing. But here I was running into all kinds of different problems. And here you can see the back part that I just mentioned. This was before I changed the landscaping a bit and erased everything, and I wanted to have this wonderful area in the back because I felt like it would make so much sense to have a part of the building completely lined up with the waterfall area. But you might already see that it's not making a lot of sense. The whole build looked very bulky and boxy at some point, and I really liked the shape that I had initially created, like the diagonal part, which I started out with, and then the more I was adding to the build, the less it made sense. So I removed a bit part of it. The roofing was also very confusing at this point. You can see this gigantic diagonal gabled roof in the center, which didn't do anything for this build, so this also had to go. I felt like I very rarely made so many changes to a build but still kept it, because usually when I'm very unhappy with what I'm building, I just bulldoze it, and a lot of the times I just start a build over and over until I'm really happy. Sometimes it just doesn't feel right, but here felt like it made sense, and I just didn't want to give up all the landscaping that I did, to be honest. So I just kept on improving the build, and it turned out fine. So sometimes you just have to keep going. But I also feel like sometimes you just have to start over. Sometimes it's like less work and more fun to simply start over instead of like trying to save a lost cause. This is a slope which is leading up to the house, because I suddenly had an epiphany that the Sims have to be able to enter the house, believe it or not. So I completely forgot about this. I had done all the landscaping, I was working on the build, and I just remembered, okay, I have to incorporate a way for the Sims to go up there without ruining the whole balance and look of the build. And I just used the terrain tools, and I created a cute little slope. I've used the flat base game bush, which I love so much, to just hide a part of the slopes. But this time I wasn't going for a completely polished, perfect look, you know, that I really like to use this flat base game bush to hide steep slopes because it looks amazing and so perfect. But I was going for imperfections here. I wanted this to look a bit rough, and I wanted the terrain to be visible, so you could like really tell, okay, this is terrain. I just wanted this to be very visible. And also I feel like using too many flat base game bushes would be like too much performance wise. I just didn't want to go overboard. And here I'm working on the interior already, on the floor plan. I've opened up a part of the ceiling because I wanted to have this beautiful chimney and fireplace right in the center. I feel like this is oftentimes very typical for really big, beautiful lodges, and this is exactly what it is, like a hybrid of a modern mansion and a lodge. And I just wanted to have this eye-catching feature right in the center of the lodge and the living room. I couldn't really decide on a color at first. I've decided to use a floor from Horse Ranch and also a wallpaper, and then I've used this beautiful wallpaper from Journey to Batu. And I've mentioned this before on this channel, but Journey to Batu has some of the most amazing build by stuff. I know that not everyone was a fan of the gameplay and the theme. After all, it's like all down to preference. Not everyone is into Star Wars and or sci-fi and all that, so it's all about personal taste. And I feel like Journey to Batu was a very like specific pack, and some people really loved it. But I have to say the build by is just amazing. And oftentimes I've used stuff from the pack, and I then got comments asking me, okay, to which pack does this bar belong, or the wallpaper, or this and that. And I feel like it has such a distinct style. It's very over the top because it's sci-fi, it's Star Wars, but at the same time the objects have such a specific modern weird vibe in the best way possible. I love it for industrial builds, and I'm just really obsessed. Here I wanted to use a spandrel at one point and it just wasn't working. At first I thought that the column was the issue, but it wasn't, and then I just gave up on the spandrel, so there's no spandrel. And I wanted to divide this gigantic living space a bit, and I've done two things for this. I've used some windows, so I've just built a wall and I've added some windows. And then in the kitchen, as you will see, I'm going to use a wall divider from the Moschino stuff pack. I wanted to have a big kitchen, and then I also wanted to include like a little cute corner where you could make a coffee, and this is like right behind the dining area. And I of course had to build the dining table in this beautiful open area, windows going all around it, sun flooded, so bright and beautiful. You have a nice view of the forest. Whenever I'm building Granite Falls, I'm always using so many windows. I feel like this world is all about the view. And when you look at how dense this beautiful forest is, this is really unmatched. I don't think that we have any world in this game which is similar to this. I'm like so obsessed with Granite Falls, and I really like to make sure that the Sims have a lovely view. And yeah, for the kitchen I was going for a very modern design. I still wanted to incorporate wood, so it has this lodge cabin type of vibe. At the same time, the floor has a lovely wooden tone, and it adds so much warmth to this build already. And I felt like it would be okay to like go into a more modern, harsh direction for the kitchen. You can see that the rocks are right behind the window, but the view is still wonderful, and it's like really much built into the landscape. And again, I have to think of falling water. I mean, I'm not comparing this like monstrosity with the amazing art piece that is falling water, but like the idea is kind of similar, to just incorporate a house like inside the landscape. Instead of completely changing the landscape, you just kind of make it work, and nature is all around you and all these rocks. And this was kind of my idea. And yeah, as I've said, I've like built this cute little coffee area right between the dining room and the kitchen. It's a very open floor plan. At the same time, everything is a bit divided, and I was like noticing that I have this gigantic empty corner, and I was just adding a beautiful sofa, because gigantic mansions have different areas to just sit and talk, multiple living rooms, and I just figured it would be amazing to just add another sofa to this. You can really entertain a lot of guests in this house, so if you simply like to have someone over, they really have all the space to cook a nice meal, and everyone can sit down, and it's like very open and beautiful. And I feel like even though it's very modern, it's still like very warm and cozy and inviting. And yeah, let me know what you think about this build and the kit. Like, let me know if you've gotten the kit, if you like it, and what's your favorite part about it. Like, leave a comment down below. I've missed you all so much. Also, I have a new CC set out, so not only do I build and I really enjoy being back and building, but I've also released a CC set. It's base game compatible, it's a living room set, and you can hear seed, and you can find the link in the description. It's in early access on my Patreon. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. You are also awesome. I just wanted to very quickly mention this. And yeah, here you can see how I'm furnishing this area. And once again, you can see that the landscape, the the surrounding area is kind of the star of the show. Just imagine having this type of view. I've also added this beautiful little terrace in the back. I've just used the foundation tool for this, and I've included a hot tub and just a beautiful fire pit and just anything you would need to just hang out and enjoy the view and the lovely weather. And yeah, this is in Granite Falls, which means that this is a rental lot, but you could just grab this from the gallery and you could place it anywhere. So this is a 50 by 50 lot, so you could use it as a regular residential lot in another world, but this is a rental lot here, so you could totally use this to go on a luxurious vacation with your Sims. I've included, as you will see, a room with bunk beds, so there's enough space for your Sims to just stay there and enjoy the wonderful world that is Granite Falls. And yeah, I did not include too many personal items. I wanted to include anything you would need, but I didn't clutter it in a very personal way, so it looks like a rental. But you know that I'm generally not really big on cluttering my builds. That's not really what I love to do, so I feel like this is like, it wasn't difficult for me to just stay away from the clutter. I rarely do that, and I actually like love clutter in The Sims. I love to see how many of you are cluttering your builds. It's very inspiring. I love that, just the attention to detail. It's very inspiring and beautiful. But I have to say, and I've talked about this before in real life, I just really enjoy minimalism. I don't enjoy clutter. Clutter makes me nervous, so I feel like maybe this is why I'm just staying away from clutter here. I don't know. And this is it, my friends. This video is slowly coming to an end. You can hear and see so many screenshots, so you can really see what I've built here. This build is available in the gallery. My ID is KateEmerald, and it's CC free and unmodded, so you can just grab it from the gallery and use it if you would like to. I hope you are all doing so well. I hope I will see you in the next video, and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this build and the kit. Just let me know what's going on. I love you all so much. I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.